The cargo bay of the dusty trail reeked of burnt ozone and regret. James adjusted his worn leather duster, authentic Earth leather, a rarity in the outer colonies, and studied the containment field humming before him. Inside, coiled like a spring of lethal grace, was the most dangerous prisoner he'd transported in 5 years of bounty. Running .aliana. Her scales shimmered between obsidian and deep crimson under the harsh fluorescent lights, each one a small plate of organic armor that had evolved over millions of years on Draconis Prime. Her wings, even folded tight against her back, spanned nearly 12 feet, but it was her eyes, those vertical slitted amber eyes, that held the fury of her entire conquered species. 2 credits, she hissed, her forked tongue tasting the recycled air. That is what the human paid for me. 2 credits. James didn't look up from his datapad, though every instinct screamed at him to maintain eye contact with an apex predator. Bill of sale says 300,000. Don't know where you're getting 2 credits from. That is what I am worth to your species. Human. Her voice was like gravel sliding down a mountain, beautiful and terrifying. My people ruled the Scorpio arm for 10,000 years before your kind crawled out of your gravity well. We are curiosities, pets, slaves. The Galactic Council set our species value at 2 credits per individual for insurance purposes. James finally met her gaze. That's not my doing. No, Aliana agreed, her tail lashing against the containment field with a sharp crack of energy. But you profit from it. A human bounty hunter, dragging me to the mining colonies of Kepler-4 for 2B. How long will I last there? A year, 2. My lungs are not made for atmospheres. Contract says you killed a diplomat. The Centaurian tried to purchase my clutch sister for his personal collection. Her pupils dilated to thin slashes. I would do it again. James set down his datapad. The ship's autopilot could handle the next 6 hours to the jump gate. He'd been doing this job long enough to know when a conversation mattered. Look, I get it. The galaxy is not fair. The Drorthians enslaved half of humanity for 2 centuries before we figured out their hive mind weakness. The Zentari still hunt us for sport in the Outer Rim. Every species has its sob-story. Sob-story. Aliana's laugh was a sound like tearing metal. Your people arrived in the galaxy 300 years ago. Primitive, weak. Your ships held together with, what do you call it, duct tape and prayers. The Council didn't even grant you provisional membership. They classified you as pre-sentient laborers. I know my history. Then you know what your people did. She pressed closer to the containment field, her face inches from the energy barrier. You didn't complain, didn't beg. You watched, you learned, you took every menial job, every degrading position, every insultant you evolved. Not biologically, tactically. Humans became the mechanics the Drothians needed. The negotiators, the Zentari, couldn't read. The soldiers, everyone underestimated. James felt something uncomfortable twist in his chest. We adapted. You weaponized your weakness. Aliana's voice dropped to something almost like respect. Within a century, the Council couldn't function without human infrastructure. Your diplomats brokered peace where millennia of war had failed, not because you were wise, but because you were too new to honor ancient grudges. Your engineers fixed technology. You had no business understanding through what the Zentari call aggressive trial and error. We call it seeing what breaks, James muttered. And now, Aliana continued, humans sit on the Council. You have voting rights. Protected worlds. Your species value is listed at 800,000 credits per individual, the highest in the galaxy. In 3 centuries, you went from slaves to kingmakers. James stood, walking to within arm's reach of the containment field. So what's your point? My point, human, is that when I said I'd rather die than be worth 2 credits, ... She smiled, revealing rows of serrated teeth. I meant I'd rather die fighting, like you did. The cargo bay fell silent except for the steady hum of the ship's engines. James looked at this creature, this being who could tear him apart with one claw, who came from a civilization that had achieved faster than light travel while humans were still banging rocks together. The contract's worth 300,000 credits, he said quietly. That's 8 months of fuel, supplies, and repairs. I know. I'd be blacklisted from the Bounty Guild. I know, and the consortium would put a price on my head. Most certainly. James walked to the control panel and placed his palm on the biometric scanner. The containment field flickered. What are you doing, human? Something stupid, James said. Something that'll probably get me killed. Something that makes absolutely no economic sense and violates about 15 interstellar laws. The containment field died with a whisper of dissipating energy. Aliana stepped forward. Unfurling her wings to their full, magnificent span, she towered over him, death incarnate in scaled flesh. Why? James reached into his duster and pulled out a data chip, tossing it to her. She caught it with reflexes that would have made a quantum computer jealous. Coordinates to a human settlement in the uncharted territories. No council jurisdiction. They're always looking for people who know how to fight, how to survive, how to adapt. He smiled grimly. Remind you of anyone? Aliana stared at the chip, then at James. You're giving me sanctuary. I'm giving you a choice. Same thing my people wanted 300 years ago. He moved toward the escape pod bay. Pod's got enough fuel to get you to the nearest jump gate. After that, you're on your own. The bounty, I'll figure something out. Always do. Aliana followed him, her claws clicking on the metal deck. At the pod entrance, she paused. Your species is insane. Yeah, James agreed. But we're also too stubborn to know when to quit. Too dumb to accept the way things are. And too damn spiteful to let anyone tell us what we're worth. He met her eyes one final time. Maybe that's what the galaxy needs more of. She entered the pod, then turned back. The settlement coordinates, they will accept a draconian. They'll accept anyone who refuses to be valued at 2 credits. As the pod launched into the black, James returned to the bridge and pulled up his financials. 300,000 credits, gone. He'd have to take on twice as many contracts, work twice as hard, probably eat nothing but recycled protein paste for a year. But as he plotted course for the mining colonies where he'd report the prisoners' unfortunate escape during a pirate attack, James couldn't help but smile. The galaxy had once valued humans at nothing. Humans had responded by becoming invaluable. Maybe it was time the dragons learned the same lesson. After all, humanity's greatest export wasn't technology or diplomacy, it was spite, the pure, stubborn, irrational refusal to accept extinction. And in a galaxy that measured worth in credits, spite was priceless.